You could argue that esports productions today absolutely, can outdo some traditional mainstream broadcast sports. Absolutely. We've worked together on many productions, and there's big screens, audiences. Setting all the kind of the LAN element up as well with different players. There's so much technical stuff that goes on. Was there a particular highlight, particular moment when you suddenly thought, wow, this is what I'm going to be doing now. This is what I want to focus on. Was there kind of like a big moment you were kind of in front of a live audience, or you did something like a piece to camera, something that was big enough for you to go, this is where I want to be?
A couple of months into writing, I had built up quite a pedigree within SK Gaming. I became the editor-in-chief for kind of everyone that was writing articles about any game that were featured on the website. And one of the guys who worked at SK said, hey, would you like to maybe tape some interviews with a camera we're going to give you in a tournament that's now taking place in Korea, being back then the OGN Champions, which was like a very prestigious league tournament, which was mainly Korean, South Korean, but they had invited international teams, CLG EU and CLG NA, to compete in there. And I said, holy moly, what? So they sent me to Korea. I didn't have a passport. I had to get a passport in like 2 days. I went over there. I shot a bunch of interviews. I shot house tours back then with the Korean teams, which had never been done before. And that was when I realized, holy moly, like seeing kind of the godfathers of esports in Korea and the arenas and the fans and how big that was. And then how big it was getting also in the West. I thought, I have to be part of this.
Yeah, I'm so envious you went to Korea. I'd love to go. It looks amazing.
Korea is the best. Seoul is really, really lovely. Wonderful food, very fashionable and friendly people. Of course, I have a romanticized view because I've only visited. But I really like Seoul.
Is there anywhere still on the hit list for you that you want to say, well, I want to do an event there one day? That's definitely a bit of me. I want to do that one day too.
I just crossed off Tokyo off my bucket list, and I really wanted to go to Tokyo. So I went last year. So I'm super happy about that. I don't know. Yeah. I just want to keep exploring. I've been lucky enough to see a lot. And I think the things that were high on my bucket list were Seoul, were Tokyo, like Beijing, New York, all those things. And I've been lucky enough to have crossed them all off. So, but I'm missing the traveling right now. I've not been not on an airplane for so long.
Yeah, it's weird. It is weird. It is weird. I mean, I think back to last year when we worked on the Blast Pro series together.
Yeah.
And we went to Sao Paulo in Brazil.
Yes.
And that was crazy. Like I wasn't expecting to ever go. Brazil was not on my wish list, but it was a very cool place to go. Very, very unique place. I'm really pleased that we went there.
I'm so happy we went there indeed. We went a bit before on with Riot. I was there for 5 weeks. We went to, I think, what was it? Was it this way or the other way around? It was like Sao Paulo 2 weeks and Rio 2 weeks and a half or something like that. And it was really wonderful because we got to be with locals, and you have to be in Brazil if you don't speak the language and you don't know where to go. Don't do that. Just go with locals. And they showed us all these great food places and samba places, and it was a trip to remember forever.
I mean, League of Legends has become something which has really kind of defined your esports career in the sense that you've grown with the game. You've worked with Riot. Tell us about the experience working with the game so closely and with Riot, and what that's been like and how it's kind of grown over time.
It's definitely evolved a lot, I would say. In the beginning, what is important to understand, and I think you're in the same boat. I actually don't know if you have any like official broadcast training. Do you?
If you count a 9-hour presenting course, then yes, I do. Otherwise, nah, just winging it. Winging it.
Well, that's more than us. And the thing is, when Riot started doing these broadcasts in 2013, they had, of course, me and D-Man, Joe Miller in Europe, who they all had extensive experience, but it was all self-taught. And I think that was what made all of the broadcasts so charming, but also difficult for the people that had made a lot of these broadcasts before, because there are people who used to work on like the Olympics at NBC and whatnot, all at Riot, working on these broadcasts. And I remember stepping into the studio the first time, and Ariel Horn, who is now kind of grown out to be a mentor of mine, he said, well, have you ever read off a teleprompter? And I was like, what now? And I read off it, and I saw his face just going pale and going like, oh my God, well, we're going to have to do this. We'll do it live, like they say in the movies. And we did it. And at that point, I think yeah, we were just trying to kind of do our own thing and learn as we go. And I think especially for Europe, that was really good, because the last thing you want, in my opinion, is to have an esports broadcast that is completely cookie cutter copied of any mainstream sports broadcast, because that's not what esports is. And there are a lot of elements, I think, that you can take from sports and the other way around in sports broadcasts, but the genuine nature of esports is very important. And I think in those initial years, we were probably overwhelmed by how big everything was. And we tried to keep our own spirit, but we were also regulated from the side of Riot, of course, as to kind of a certain style they wanted to broadcast. But over the years, I think everyone has found their own voice a lot more and their own style. And I think specifically here in Europe with the LEC, it's us, and it may be silly and it may be this or that, but it is us. And it is a professional show, but still encapsulating the spirit that is also esports and gaming and the thing that brings us all together.
Absolutely. Well, so I think that's you find. I mean, once again, I'm comparing it to traditional mainstream sports like football and things. And you've got a lot of punditry and commentary and I guess desk hosts and whatnot. And it's all it's quite generic. There isn't much personality there. It's kind of like your standard kind of here's the news, here's what's happening, a few questions, let's throw to the break. But I think you're right. I think when it comes to esports, you watch a production and you see, for instance, Sjokz is hosting the desk, and you think, oh, amazing. I know exactly what I'm going to get here. I know her personality. She brings a lot of, fun. It's going to be energetic. It's going to be, great, a huge amount of, reference points and experience. So you kind of, I guess it's with everyone that's kind of on the panel. I think that's where esports differentiates itself. It is a lot more. There are so many people with so many personalities that you can be a little bit looser.
Yeah, absolutely. And I myself have fought a lot against. I get the comment often that I am unprofessional, which I don't think people know what that word means because they use it to kind of point at my style of hosting, which is a bit more in the, I would say, European pundit, as you say, sports tradition way of things, which is I am really well prepared and I know exactly where we're going. I know exactly what segment is next. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, but I just like to let the natural flow of conversation sometimes take over, throw some jokes in there, like have a little bit of a discussion that is off script and this and that. And yeah, I am very, very professional and I'm very, very dedicated to my job. It's just that stylistically, I want to preserve a lot of my own character and my colleagues and kind of, preserve some of that off the cuff content rather. So
totally that's how that's how you become engaging to an audience. I think that's how you kind of inspire, and people can kind of get to know the real you, as opposed just to kind of like a facade of just professionalism. You want to be, I know what they mean with the unprofessional thing. I know exactly what you mean. Because being unprofessional, be turning up, having not combed your hair,
hungover and like in sweats and not prepared. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean. This is just one of the many highlights of the episodes available to you right now in the full episode list. It's down below. There is a link. Click that. It takes you to that platform where you can choose the landing page where you want to listen to the podcast in its entirety. It's all there for you. Do make sure to subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media as well. All the links are below. I look forward to seeing you on the next one for the next highlight. Take care. Sav out.